What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today, we're going to be breaking down some more of the Patriots offseason signings here on both the defensive and offensive sides of the ball. So let's get right into it. So starting off here, the Patriots are able to re-sign safety Jayliin Hawkins, bringing him back on a 1-year, $2.25 million contract. And I would say that Jayliin Hawkins played his role well last season. Kind of played that third safety spot, that Deron Harmon and Adrian Phillips type role. However, was kind of flushed into some more snaps considering the Jabril Peppers suspension. And I think that Jayliin Hawkins did a pretty serviceable job considering the fact that he was probably playing a little more than he should have last year. But he was still productive in that area as well. We knew him as kind of a versatile defender, someone who you could put back deep from the free safety spot where he took the majority of his snaps, played up in the box, played a little bit of slot, and even send them in on some blitzes time to time along the defensive line. But I would expect him to kind of return to his more so prototypical role of being that deep safety. He had higher speed on this defense, and that really was what he played with the Chargers as well as Atlanta throughout his career. And especially given the fact that Jabril Peppers will be returning, I expect him to kind of resume into that more prototypical role that he usually plays. But taking a look at his grades here for the 2024 campaign, he actually had the highest overall grade of his career with a defensive grade of 60.1. A really solid run defense grade of 69.3, and especially coming in from that safety spot, he was one of the better run support safeties on the Patriots last year. And of course, that's speaking highly because Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers are both guys who usually play around the line of scrimmage. He had a tackling grade of 61.5, a pass rush grade of 47.9, and a coverage grade of 56.3. On the year, he had a total of 31 tackles with around a missed tackle percentage of 14%. He was targeted 17 times and allowed 13 receptions for a reception rate of 76.5. He allowed 136 yards through the air. 2 touchdowns were allowed while he was the closest defender, and he also had himself a pass breakup. Like I said before, nothing that's going to jump out the charts here. He's certainly more so a depth signing, but at times he could be presumed a quote-unquote starter at the free safety position on this team's defense. And, of course, he did play a little bit of special teams last season, so very versatile piece who's going to find his way to be on the field here. I would project him to make this roster once again, and hopefully Jayliin Hawkins could be a little more productive than he was last year. But if he is able to replicate the season he had last season, I think once again this is a pretty good signing here by the Patriots front office. Moving over to our next signing here, the Patriots were able to bring in safety Marcus Epps on a 1-year, $4.4 million contract. He is currently 29 years old. He actually suffered a torn ACL last season, so I'm a little surprised that he actually got as much money as he did, considering the fact that he did tear his ACL last season. However, he did play under Josh McDaniels in the 2023 campaign, and he was actually named a captain alongside Robert Spillane on that Raiders defense. So, of course, the Patriots are bringing in more players who are familiar with this coaching staff. Of course, Josh McDaniels will be on the opposite side of the ball, but I'm sure McDaniels probably spoke very highly of Marcus Epps. And taking a look at Marcus Epps' 2024 campaign, he only played 3 games, so take these grades with what you will, a grain of salt. He had a defensive grade of 46.9, a run defense grade of 63.5, a tackling grade of 32.2, a pass rush grade of 70.8, and a coverage grade of 44. He had 16 tackles in 3 games. He actually had a missed tackle percentage of 26%. He was targeted 13 times and allowed 12 receptions for a reception rate of 92.3, 131 yards allowed, and he really played more so strictly free safety, being that deep cover safety. So maybe the Patriots are planning on moving Jayliin Hawkins into more so a box role here, considering the fact that he played rather well in the run support game last year. But Marcus Epps is a little smaller than Jayliin Hawkins, so I would foresee Marcus Epps actually being the quote-unquote free safety on this team. And taking a look at his 2023 campaign, which he actually played a full season under Josh McDaniels and Antonio Pierce, he had an overall defensive grade of 65.4, a run defense grade of 69.7, a tackling grade of 54.1, a pass rush grade of 57.5, and a coverage grade of 62.3. And something that's very similar with both these signings here for the Patriots is they like safeties who can come down and play the run a little bit. And especially with the new kind of system that the Patriots are trying to play, a more penetrating play scheme where they can allow their players to really get after the quarterback, they're going to need bodies to kind of absorb blocking here. And for safeties to come down and kind of secure these tackles, I think it's going to be instrumental for this Patriots defense if they do hope to have more success in the run game. And taking a look at his 2023 stats, he came up with a total of 52 tackles for a missed tackle rate of 16.5%. He was targeted 27 times and allowed 19 receptions for a reception rate of 70.4%. He allowed 205 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 2 pass breakups, and he actually forced himself a fumble. But like I said before, he's more so the smaller, typical free safety who can come out and play some coverage for you. However, I'll give both these signings credit. The Patriots clearly valued the ability of these safeties to come down and play a little bit of help in the run support game. The next signing here by the New England Patriots is also a former Raider, signing Chaisson, a former first-round pick, to a 1-year, $5 million contract. He's only 25 years old, but really he is just strictly a pass rusher at this sense. They're going to have him labeled as a linebacker, but he is strictly an edge defender who you really line up outside the tackle and let him kind of use his athletic ability to kind of spring and try and get to the quarterback here. Taking a look at his 2024 defensive grades, he had a defensive grade of 63, a run defense grade of 59.5, a tackling grade of 29.8, a pass rush grade of 74.7, and a coverage grade of 43.5. As you can see, based off his grades according to PFF, he really is just best used as a pass rusher here, and you can even see it through some of his stats. However, he only played 15 games, but he did come up with a total of 20 tackles. He had a missed tackle percentage of 27%. You have to get that down. He does have to become a more sturdy tackler, and for his size and athleticism, there's no reason why he shouldn't be a better tackler. He just has to work better on his form, I would project. But he had a total of 29 pressures, 19 hurries, 4 QB hits, and he had 6 sacks. So a productive pass rusher who gets the quarterback there, something that the Patriots really lacked last season. He had 2 batted balls. He forced a fumble. He was targeted 7 times in coverage and allowed 7 receptions for a 100% reception rate, and allowing 82 yards in that process. And he actually did have himself an interception. I believe it was probably off a batted ball there, or else they would have counted that towards his receptions allowed percentage. And taking a look at where he really lined up, he strictly was more so a defensive lineman. Specifically, you line him outside the tackles on either the right or left side, and really allows him to spring towards the quarterback here. And I'm not the biggest fan of this signing. By no means do I think it's a poor signing because of how much help you needed at this position, considering how you weren't able to get to the quarterback last year and generate pressure whatsoever. But I do think that this is a very deep edge class in terms of the NFL draft this season. So I would have liked to see them more so kind of attack this position in the draft, maybe get some younger players in here. However, it's not like Chaisson really is that old. He is still 25 years old, and of course he was a former first-round pick. So you're kind of taking a waiver on him to kind of hit. And he didn't have himself a bad season by any stretch last year. He was pretty productive. So it's going to be interesting here if he can kind of continue that production, continue to grow here. And I wouldn't mind if the Patriots double down on top of this move and still look for a younger option in this year's draft class. The Patriots have also signed offensive lineman Wes Schweitzer here. He is 31 years old. I believe they signed him on a 1-year, probably closer to the league minimum contract. I do not believe the details have fully emerged yet on this signing here, but this is someone who's had some experience in a number of different systems here in the NFL. I believe he can come in, add some experience into that locker room where he can really help younger guys like Caden Wallace, Ben Brown, and even Jake Andrews there, and probably even Cole Strange, help maybe develop them, provide them some veteran leadership, as well as some of the coaching that Doug Marrone might insist on some of these younger players. Maybe he can institute as well, kind of play that mentor role to some of these younger guys here. But this isn't someone who is necessarily going to be a starter for you. I see this more so as a depth piece. These past 2 seasons with the New York Jets, he hasn't taken a ton of snaps. Last year, I believe he actually only took 1 snap in the entirety of the season. And the last time that he actually received some starting snaps, I believe, was in 2022 with the Washington Commanders here. But taking a look at his 2023 campaign with the New York Jets, I believe he had 149 snaps. He had an offensive grade of 52.7, a run block grade of 47, and a pass block grade of 60. Like I said before, not someone who's received a huge number of snaps these past couple of seasons. He allowed 5 pressures, 4 hurries, and a sack in those snaps there, and had 1 penalty thrown against him. And in 2022, where he played only 7 games for the Washington Commanders. He had an offensive grade of 59.3, a pass block or a run block grade of 65.3, and a pass block grade of 42.9. He allowed 15 pressures, 9 hurries, 3 QB hits, 3 sacks, and was penalized 3 times. And taking a look at his career snaps by alignment here, he has taken 440 snaps at center, but like I said before, is mostly a guard, where he's taken 2,118 right guard snaps and 2,201 left guard snaps here. And he more so really is just going to be a guard, but hopefully we'll be able to provide some experience and maybe a little bit of production on the interior of this Patriots offensive line. And I also, like, very similar to how I did with Morgan Moses, just kind of want to check how he was kind of blocking throughout his career. And he certainly is more accustomed to running a zone blocking scheme, which is why this is a little curious of a move here. However, he has taken a solid amount of time in a gap scheme, which is more so what Josh McDaniels likes to run, more so from that run blocking perspective. He's taken 59.7% of his snaps in a zone block scheme compared to 30.3% in a gap block scheme. And with no disrespect to Wes, I do not see him really kind of coming in and filling in this offensive line problem. I think this is more so just someone who's going to come in, mentor some of the younger guys, and just be a stable locker room guy for you if he does in fact end up making this roster. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this video here. Of course, not really the biggest of names in this video, but just wanted to kind of catch up on all the moves the Patriots have made during this offseason thus far. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on these signings, and hopefully I'll be able to check you out in the next one.